He is risen.
He is risen indeed.
Hallelujah. I love that. This is such a special day. I'd say it's one of the two most important Christian holidays, right? Besides Christmas. But there's something I want to focus on today that maybe we don't talk about enough. I don't think we talk about death enough. I think it's scary. I think it's threatening. I think people avoid it because they know it's coming. It's inevitable. And that can be scary. So we push it down. We don't like to talk about it. We talk about life. In our text today in Job, we are going to discuss the answer to that scary problem. The answer to something that we dread as human beings. That's death. We're going to feel comforted. We're going to feel hope. We're going to see this in our words today. See this in Job. He's going to say this phrase, I know that my Redeemer lives. An expression of beautiful hope right there. But isn't it weird it's coming from Job? Do you remember what Job had to go through? You see, Job was the one who was tested by Satan, God himself. Satan went up to God and said, that guy Job there, the one you said has the strongest faith about anybody else on earth, you're just babying him. You're giving him all these things. Of course he's going to love you. Let me take those away. I bet he doesn't love you. God said, okay. His faith will stand. His cattle, his livestock, all of his wealth, even his kids, taken away from him. Whew, that's a lot. But he still didn't lose faith. So Satan went back to God and said, you know what? We haven't touched his health yet. We haven't touched his body. So we gave him sickness, an illness all over his skin. It was torment 24/7. You would think that person that we're describing right now, no hope, no comfort, no enjoyment in what's happening to him, right? That makes sense. That's a human response to those disasters. Here's what makes matters worse, though. He had 3 friends who kept coming back to him over and over and over again. And you know what they told him? You must have done something wrong. It must be your fault that all these things happen. Your faith mustn't be strong. Or your God has something wrong with him. You shouldn't be trusting in him anymore. What good friends they are. Over and over they did this to him. And over Job replied, no, my God is a loving God. My God is a great God. He even sang a hymn in the words earlier in the chapter. He still had his faith strong. His faith was strong, even though, on all terms, he probably should have been a little bit upset. And I think he started showing this anger, just a little bit of, Lord, what did I do wrong? I had to have done something wrong, otherwise I feel like I don't deserve it. I know I'm not sinless, Lord, but really? All of this? I don't know if I can bear it much longer. We forgot to mention somebody who also didn't encourage and comfort him. His wife even turned her back to him. And then, in a few chapters, he has a 4th friend that comes. Guess what he says? Comfort? Nope. More of this pounding down his faith. Job was in a deep spot. He was probably getting close to breaking points of like, I don't know how long my faith can last. Lord, are you my enemy now? Lord, can I even trust you for what's happening to me? Am I still in your hands? Do you still love me? I don't know if Job was fearing death. I really don't. I think he was dreading life at that moment. I think he was dreading everything that was happening to him. His sores were covering his body. He was in pure torment. And right when he thought it was a little bit of comfort, a friend walks through the door. What is here? Job, what are you doing wrong? Job, you shouldn't have faith anymore. This is a miracle. struggle with death in life as well. We always try and solve the problem of death, right? Maybe it's through vitamins, or how you eat, or working out, maybe having good friends around you, going to church regularly. Like, you have something that you try to do to push away death. Maybe we're researching the next thing in case we have cancer someday. Maybe there's this illness that we go to the doctor right away so we get better. We always want to prolong our life. We have that fear of death. It's always in the back of our minds. But what about life? Are things happening to you that you dread? That you go, Lord, one more of these? I don't know if I can handle it. Lord, one more time, and I don't know if I just give up. And we continue to pray or look for an answer, a little glimpse of hope, even if it's coming from a bad source, a false hope. And we cling on to that thinking, oh, this is going to bring me joy. And then all of a sudden, it's not true. And it diminishes to nothing. In 2021, there were over 48,000 people that were in such deep despair that they killed themselves. That's 132 a day. That means 5 happened during this service. If you don't think that's a fear about people wanting to die, it happens. It's all around us. That's just in the United States. So what are we going to do? How are we going to solve this? Death is coming. Life is a torment because of sin. What happens when those questions come into your mind? Does God really love me? Am I a good person? Do I deserve all these horrible things? Why don't I just give up? You're not going to find an answer right here. You're not going to find an answer just willy-nilly in the world either. But Job found that answer. Job displayed this beautiful answer in something we are going to sing today. I know that my Redeemer lives. Wow. What beautiful hope and comfort in just a simple statement. Jesus isn't going to be around for a long time yet. Yet he knows that trust, that promise is coming. Jesus is going to come. Jesus is going to die for my sins and bring me hope. And wasn't that exactly what we needed? If we couldn't find the answer to death and the torments of life in ourselves or in other resources, wouldn't we look to the one who actually defeated death? Look to the one who died, and usually what happens to somebody who dies? They stay dead. He had power over them. You see, he was our perfect solution. He lived a perfect life. That was step one. He had to have it. Because you and I, we can't live that perfect life. He didn't. Check. He suffered innocently. Check. He then died up there on the cross for us. Check. If the next checkbox didn't happen though, if he didn't rise from the dead on Easter morning, there is no hope, no joy, no comfort on Easter morning. No Christian would be like, yes, I know that my God has power over death. No, he would have said he's just like everyone do. But instead, that Easter morning, the ladies are running to the tomb is open, and they were shocked by it. They shouldn't have been. They knew it was coming. He said 3 days. And 3 days it was. One of my favorite words in here that's often overlooked is the word mine. I know that my Redeemer lived. He lived for you. He died for you. He rose from the dead. Guess what? Also for you. Everything he did was for you. If that doesn't bring you comfort, I don't know what does, because he proved he has power over our biggest fear, our greatest weakness. We're not immortal. He solved it. And if you're having a doom about the life here on earth, fear about what's happening, I don't know how to say it better than our hymn that's coming out. And I want you to turn to that page, if you don't mind. It is coming up on page 16. I know that my Redeemer lives. I don't know about you, but when I'm singing a hymn, it's really hard for me to grab all the words, at least the meanings of the words. So what I want you to do, before we get to this hymn, we're about to sing it. It's on a couple pages, right? I want to read it to you. I want to read to you this hope, this comfort. Each verse is just shining down on us what this hope means and what Christ did for us on Easter morning. So I'm going to read verse by verse and just soak in all of this beautiful wordage. All right, here's the first verse. I know that my Redeemer lives. What comfort this sweet sentence gives. He lives, who once was dead. He lives, and ever living hope. Verse 2. He lives triumphant from the grave. He lives eternally to save. He lives all glorious in the sky. He lives exalted there on high. Verse 3. He lives to bless me with his love. He lives to plead for me above. He lives my hungry soul to feed. He lives to help in time of need. Ooh, he's not just talking about death, right? Verse 4. He lives to grant me rich supply. He lives to guide me with his eye. He lives to comfort me when faint. He lives to hear my soul's complaint. He lives to silence all my fears. He lives to wipe away my tears. He lives to calm my troubled heart. He lives all blessings to impart. He lives my kind, wise, heavenly friend. He lives and loves me to the end. He lives, and while he lives, I'll sing. He lives, my prophet, priest, and king. Verse 7. He lives and grants me daily breath. He lives, and I shall conquer death. He lives my mansion to prepare. He lives to bring me safely there. And our final verse. He lives all glory to his name. He lives, my Jesus, still the same. Oh, the sweet joy this sentence gives. I know that my Redeemer lives. Did you catch the two words that were repeated almost like a drum every single line? What two words were they? He lives. If you don't see that, if you don't trust that, he repeats it so many times it's like ingrained in our head this Easter morning. We're about to sing it so many times. That's our comfort. That's our joy. That's where we can put our trust in. He actually came back to life. And he's promised the same to you. Through faith, this is our end. It's not the end. Raising us from the dead, he can actually keep that promise. That's my God. That's my Redeemer. That's my Savior. And we don't just need to remember it today on Easter, and then forget about it tomorrow, and then forget about it all the way until next year Easter. This is a fact. Every single day of your life, this can be a comfort, something that brings you joy, even when your day is rotten. He still rose from the dead. He still is alive. That can't change. With a closing remark, I want to say to you our psalm that we read today. Our gospel affirmation skipped the psalm, but this verse was brought back from chapter 118 of Psalm. This is the day the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. You can live every day as a believer knowing that this day was given directly by your God, directly by your Redeemer, your Savior, and that he loves you. And with that we say, he's risen.
He is risen indeed. Hallelujah.
We continue on page 14.